Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for the premium public forecast discussion for Friday, February 13th, 2026. Apologize for the informalities here. We are on the road for a day or so just dropping in. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on around the region. Well, first of all, some good news from Johns Hopkins here. We have, again, reducing amounts of COVID, influenza, and RSV being reported around the nation as we move out of our flu season. Again, it's still floating around out there and some nasty bugs as well, but we are apparently heading towards better times in terms of health. So if you are not feeling well, as always, check out your doctor and follow whatever he or she suggests. Now, let's dive into the weather. Now, we have a lot of changes going on in the atmosphere. So let's understand the basics here without confusing you. We're having a changing tropical state from La Nina to El Nino, which we knew was going to happen. And we can see that right now. The last hanging on of La Nina, and this is literally 25 meters deep in the ocean of this cold pool. So not very strong. And there's a lot of warm water under here with El Nino clearly on the way. But for now, it doesn't have as much of an influence. And in fact, the tropical influence is really muted right now. Now, what is driving our weather pattern is what's going on in the stratosphere, in the polar jet stream. We are seeing a disruption of the polar vortex once again. But the difference is that this time the disruption is being focused more towards Eurasia. Yep, they're having the fun this time with a polar vortex stretching right into China and Japan. And you know what that means. Plenty of cold weather and stormy conditions. But for us, we kind of get a relaxation in the weather pattern. And it's happening towards the middle to end of February, which means most likely moving out of our winter storm pattern completely. But keep an eye on early March. I'm not saying anything significant, but this lobe of the polar vortex is going to be swinging through North America, and that can sometimes lead to some mischief. So we'll keep an eye on that. At the very least, it looks like early to mid-March might be a little bit chilly as this feature swings on through, and our splits, disrupted, warped polar vortex continues to evolve here. And then as we move forward through March and April, that influence on the polar vortex will start to decline and we'll start to move away from those influences. But in the meantime, over the next 15 days, we can expect a weather pattern that is very progressive. Again, we already talked to death about the non-storm threat for this weekend. So let's take a look at the rest of the pattern. And what the rest of the pattern basically tells me, especially when you still having below normal heights over the northern Atlantic here and around the Canadian Maritimes, this tells me that we still are going to have a nice battle between polar air masses and tropical air masses over the northern mid-Atlantic. So I wouldn't let your guard down, especially north and west of the I-95 corridor in this weather pattern for some wintry mix to rain type scenarios, even a little bit of a wintry mix threat for the I-95 corridor as we move forward over the next 15 days. Mostly driven by the stubbornness of the polar and sometimes Arctic air giving way in these type of patterns. But the overall theme is that the warm air wins. So along the coast, changeover to rain will happen. Over the interior, changeover to rain will happen. But the question is, in the upcoming storms or short waves, is how fast does that cold air give way? And that's something that we're going to be watching and keeping an eye on that theme. And again, those type of forecasts, you really have to get under 66 hours to really get nailed down the timing of those evolutions. But certainly something just to keep an eye on as we move forward. So let's take a look at our current observations. Right now we have a nice northwesterly wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures ranging from the mid to upper teens in your higher elevations. Other than that, looking at upper teens to lower 20s in your suburbs, lower to mid 20s in your urban areas with tranquil conditions overall. As you can see on the radar, not much going on here on our weather tap radar with high pressure generally in control. But watch out for these little troughs here producing the threat for a few passing snow showers around the area. On the water vapor satellite picture, you can see we have a rather progressive polar jet stream, and with it, an active subtropical jet stream with plenty of moisture coming into the desert southwest with our impressive upper level low. Now, let's take a look at the upper level winds here in this pattern. And this is why this was never a storm threat, because your ridge in the polar jet was displaced too far east, which means any short wave here is just not going to have the capability of diving in time to capture this short wave that's going to be marching across the country. And this short wave is followed by this short wave and this short wave. In other words, it's progressive. So by the time this marches in, this is already kicking it out. And by the time this marches in, this is already kicking it out. So you don't have time to slow a storm down because you really don't have much in the way of blocking here until you get out here in the Atlantic. Out here is where you're going to see your big storms. So this all comes down to physics. And this all comes down to understanding the pattern that we are in. And the only way this shortwave was going to be able to catch, or this shortwave for that matter, was able to catch this feature is if you had a fundamental change in the whole polar jet stream, which just wasn't going to happen. So when we take a look at our infrared satellite picture, again, not much going on around us. Here's our storms getting ready to develop. It's going to bring some pretty good rainfall down towards the southeast and possibly a few severe thunderstorms as well down towards South Carolina and Georgia that we're going to keep an eye on. But for us, overall, pretty quiet. Taking a look at the 500 millibar pattern, again, you can see the short waves marching through, very progressive, everything moving west to east here. And that continues on until we get to next week, where basically what I was talking about before, with the potential for some wintry mix. Okay, messy mix is on the way. And that is basically set up via this confluence here, supporting high pressure. You have a warm front driving here with basically a nice west-southwesterly flow from the desert southwest and Gulf Coast right into the region. And the clash of those air masses is going to support the potential for possibly a little bit of snow at the front end before it changes over to rain. And you can see that theme here at 700 millibars with the nice frontogenesis here. And you can also see that here when we go to our 850 millibar temperatures. Again, nice moderation for this weekend. We actually warm up, getting close to near normal. Some nice days above freezing at the mid-levels means we're going to be above freezing at the surface as well in the 40s. Not bad at all, maybe even a few 50s. Then we get to Thursday, and again, Wednesday night into Thursday, we'll have to watch this very carefully. This is enhanced by frontogenesis and some strong lifting. So again, Poconos, Catskills, northern New Jersey, maybe around the New York City metro, probably change over to rain a little bit faster there. But you get the idea that warm air wins this fight. And that's going to be the general theme moving forward. Cold air will put up a fight, but the warm air will win the fight, because this is not a pattern that's going to be able to sustain the cold air in these patterns. So diving into the forecast, let's get this zoomed in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. And there we go. Perfect. Okay, so for today, look for scattered cloud cover with temperatures rising into the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. Tonight into tomorrow, the little trough drops through with a few scattered rain snow showers. Not looking for any type of real accumulation of dusting here and there. Low temperatures will range from the mid to upper teens over the northern interior and upper teens to lower 20s everywhere else. For tomorrow afternoon, look for scattered cloud cover with temperatures rebounding really nicely into the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. On Saturday night into Sunday morning, scattered cloud cover is expected, with low temperatures falling off into the mid to upper teens over the northern interior, lower to mid 20s along the coast. Tomorrow, on Sunday afternoon, clouds will increase as our storm approaches from the south, but again, it's going to remain to the south. We are in between this cold front that's approaching and this low pressure system that's approaching. So that's going to lead to increasing clouds throughout the day on Sunday, with high temperatures rebounding into the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior and New York City metro, upper 30s to lower 40s in the Philadelphia metro. On Sunday night into Monday morning, our low pressure system passes to the south, a cold front approaches from the north, and that's going to lead to variable cloud cover with some scattered rain and snow showers. Again, no real significant accumulations or anything of that nature, just some pesky rain snow showers, and that is about it, with low temperatures on Monday morning ranging from the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. By Monday afternoon, look for scattered cloud cover with temperatures rebounding into the upper 30s to lower 40s over the interior and New York City metro, mid to upper 40s in the Philadelphia metro. On Tuesday, look for a passing cold front with a few isolated showers, but other than that, scattered cloud cover is expected. Look for low temperatures ranging from the upper 20s to lower 30s and high temperatures ranging from the upper 30s to lower 40s over the interior and in the New York City metro, mid to upper 40s in the Philadelphia metro, lower to mid 50s down towards southern New Jersey. On Wednesday, high pressure will try to build in ahead of it, so look for scattered cloud cover in the morning, with low temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 20s over the northern interior, upper 20s to lower 30s along the coast. Wednesday afternoon, clouds increase with a mix of snow, sleet, and rain starting to push into the region on Wednesday evening. Look for low temperatures to range from the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, mid to upper 30s along the coast. On Wednesday night into Thursday morning, that warm front is going to be lifting through with a wintry mix around the region of snow, sleet, and rain. As the warm air wins, the precipitation will change over to rain as we head towards the morning hours. So Thursday morning's lows are going to be more towards midnight in the upper 20s to lower 30s and then rise through the morning hours. That by the point we get to Thursday afternoon with variable cloud cover and precipitation exiting, high temperatures will range from the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, New York City metro, and upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. And then on Friday, another area of low pressure will approach with possibly a little bit of freezing rain for the higher elevations in the Poconos and Catskills. But for the most part, this is a rain threat with temperatures ranging from the lower 30s over the northern interior, possibly a couple upper 20s in the Poconos and Catskills, and mid to upper 30s along the coast. And high temperatures will range from the mid to upper 40s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s in the New York City metro, mid to upper 50s in the Philadelphia metro, and lower to mid 60s in southern New Jersey. That is your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.